A shakeup on the Supreme Court. Justice Stephen Breyer set to retire. Tonight, a look at Justice Breyer's connections to Vermont, reaction to the big news, and how President Biden's first high court pick could play out. Good evening. We appreciate you joining us tonight. I'm Lauren Maloney. After 3 decades on the nation's highest court, we are learning Justice Stephen Breyer will announce his retirement. Interestingly, Breyer's Supreme Court stint began in Vermont's Northeast Kingdom. More on that in a moment. But first, we start our coverage tonight with Local 22's Rashad Hudson on the steps of the court.
With Justice Breyer leaving the Supreme Court, this will give President Biden his first nominee of his presidency. Despite reports Justice Stephen Breyer plans to retire at the end of the court's current term, President Biden was not ready to talk about his plans.
There has been no announcement from Justice Breyer. Let him make whatever statement he's going to make, and I'll be happy to talk about it later.
Breyer's exit will give President Biden his first Supreme Court nominee.
I think Breyer was a very good Supreme Court justice. He didn't get as much attention as the others, and he probably didn't get the attention others did because he's not flashy.
Ohio Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown says he doesn't expect President Biden's nominee to be controversial and should get Republican support.
He will choose a mainstream, respected jurist.
Breyer's departure won't change the 6-3 conservative majority on the court. Republican lawmakers tweeted their reactions. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham said, quote, "Elections have consequences." And Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley said this will be a, quote, "moment of truth for the president," and called on him to reject radical nominees. During his campaign, President Biden promised to appoint a black woman to the high court. The short list reportedly includes federal district judge Ketanji Brown Jackson and California Supreme Court Justice Leondra Kruger. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says President Biden's nominee will get a fair confirmation process and a swift vote. Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson, back to you.
Thank you, Rashad. As we mentioned a moment ago, Breyer's career on the high court began in Vermont. He took his oath of office in Greensboro at the cottage of former Chief Justice William Rehnquist. Local 22's Jolie Sherman joins us live now in the studio to explain what Vermont law experts and historians have to say about Breyer leaving the bench.
That's right, Lauren. On August 3rd, 1994, Justice Stephen Breyer drove from Boston to Greensboro for a private swearing-in ceremony. 27 years later, it's believed he has plans to retire, paving the way for Biden's first Supreme Court nomination.
It said Justice Stephen Breyer traveled to the Green Mountain State when he took oath.
He didn't let anyone know where he was going. He, kind of cleared his calendar and, stepped out for a moment or had an appointment or whatever, when in fact he had driven a couple hundred miles up to Vermont.
But when the nation's oldest justice retires, it could mean few roadblocks for Biden as he picks a replacement.
The Senate is now, as we know, controlled by the Democratic Party, a very slim majority. But I think that will allow Biden to move his nominee through in the way that former President Barack Obama could not.
Constitutional law professor Jared Carter says it's possible Biden could pick Attorney General Merrick Garland, whose nomination was blocked during the Obama administration, or, as was mentioned on the campaign trail, a woman of color to fill the seat. It's still unclear exactly when Justice Breyer will retire, but Carter says his progressive views and good relationship with the justices is just as much part of his legacy.
Having gone to the U.S. Supreme Court and watched oral arguments before, I think he had a reputation as somebody with a human side, a sense of humor.
Justice Breyer has some connections to Vermont, taking the oath of office in Greensboro, and he made his first public appearance in the state in 2011 with a speech at the Calvin Coolidge Center in Plymouth. Coolidge Foundation chairwoman Amity Schlaze was there.
What I remember is that Justice Breyer emphasized the local, and he emphasized something about judges that he shared with Calvin Coolidge. Judges have limits. They're not legislators.
Senator Patrick Leahy, who's also retiring, called Breyer, quote, an excellent jurist and a great credit to the court and nation. Leahy is on the Judiciary Committee and will decide the next nominee.
Senator Leahy also spoke highly of Breyer in 1994 after hearing about his private swearing-in ceremony, saying, quote, "There are probably more than a handful of lawyers in the country who would drive 200 miles to get sworn in to the Supreme Court. Some would probably walk it." Reporting live tonight, Jolie Sherman, Local 22 News.